Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play a song by Elvis Presley called Suspicious Minds. And we're going to start on a G major chord for our intro, and actually we'll talk about some ways to kind of embellish this too. But if you take your first finger and kind of put them on the A string on the 2nd fret, second finger is going to go to the low E string on the 3rd fret, and the 3rd finger is going to go to the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord that sounds really, really happy. And from the G major, actually, the G major kind of gets embellished by something called C major. The way you play C major, first finger is going to go to the B string on the 1st fret, the second finger is going to go to the D string on the 2nd fret, the third finger is going to go to the A string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major chord that sounds really, really happy. Now, another possibility for fingering the G major, as long as you're in the same place, it doesn't really matter what fingers you use it. So you could kind of finger the G with 2nd finger on the A string 2nd, 3rd finger on the low E string 3rd, and the pinky on the high E on the 3rd. And what that kind of does is kind of opens you up to actually do something called G sus, or G suspended. G suspended, where you take the first finger and kind of put them on the B string 1st fret, 2nd finger on the D string on the 2nd fret. So it's like a little piece of the C and a little piece of the G. So you may kind of hear that in the recording where they're kind of doing G, C, G, G sus, that kind of idea. And a lot of times with a song like this, to make it more interesting, I like adding something called a strum pattern. And one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, down, up. So you could, on the intro, just take the G and just kind of work that a lot. Just down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, up. If you wanted to, you could kind of make that change to the G suspended too by doing the down, down on the first chord and the up, down, up on the next chord. So we have kind of G with the down, down, C on the up, down, G on the down, down, G sus on the up, down, G on the down, down, C, G sus on the up, down, G on the down, G sus on the up, down. So you want to kind of play around with that. And then from that intro, and actually there's some cool little arpeggio licks actually around that too, where if you want to kind of break up a little bit of the chord, you could kind of play the low E string, and then the D string, and then the G string, and then the D string and the G string again. And then kind of play the low E string on the 3rd, and then go 2nd on the D, 1st fret on the B, 2nd on the D, 1st fret on the B, and then back to 2nd fret on the D. It's kind of like a little arpeggio to intro it too. So you kind of hear that in the recording too, where you got kind of 3, oh, 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 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, oh, oh, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. So you may want to kind of play around with that too. And then when we get to our chorus part, we start on G major, and then from the G major we go to C major. Then we do another C major, and then we go to a D major chord. When we play D major, first finger is going to go to the G string on the 2nd fret, second finger on the high E string on the 2nd fret, third finger on the B string on the 3rd fret. And if you kind of strum just the D, G, B, and E, kind of the skinny 4 strings, that sounds like a D major chord. And then from the D, we're going to be going back to a C major chord, and then going back to G major, and then doing another G major. And the second time through the chorus, though, it almost starts out the same way. You do the G major twice, and then we go to C major, and then another C major, and then we go to D major, and then a C major, and then we go back to D major, and then do another D major, kind of lead into our verse part. So we try our chorus with our strum pattern. We have G with a down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, G, down, 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 G, down, 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 C, down, 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 C, down, 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 D, down, 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 C, down, 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 D, down, 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 D, down, down. Now something else I would think about adding to that part too is bass notes. And a lot of times on the first down of the down, down, up, down, you can play a bass note for the chord and make it a bass. Down, up, down. So on the G, your low E string is kind of your bass, and that's the lowest note that has the name of the chord. And then on the C chord, you got an A string for your bass. So C with an A bass, down, up, down. But then on the D chord, you got a D string for the bass. Now at the very end, on those last 2 Ds though, there's this really cool bass move where you kind of start open D with the bass, and then do something called D/C, where you play a C note on the A string on the 3rd fret for your bass note for that chord. And then we do something called D/B, where you kind of play the 2nd fret on the A string for kind of your bass, kind of cheating that a little bit. And then you kind of go back to the D note for your bass. This is cool. cool little bass line where you're going D, C, B, D. So on those last two Ds, if you wanted to, you could kind of work that as kind of a bass, down a D slash C with a bass, down a D slash B with a bass, down a D with a D bass, down a, on that last part. So we tried our chorus with our basses. We'd have G with a low E bass, down, up, down, G with a low E bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, D with a D bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G with a low E 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 bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, D with a D bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, D with a D bass, down, D slash C with an A bass, down, D slash B with an A bass, down, D with a D bass, down. So we would kind of play around with that. Now through the recording, it almost sounds like those chords are kind of getting embellished like our intro, where we kind of had that G to the G sus, and you could even use that lick for all your G chords in that part. And then when you go to the C chords, from the C chord, a chord to kind of embellish that would be something called F major 7. When we play F major 7, first finger is going to kind of stay on the B string first fret, second finger on the G string on the second fret, third finger on the D string on the third fret. And if you kind of strum just the D, G, B, and E, that sounds like F major 7. Now if you know the bar F major, that's a possibility too if you wanted to play around with that. You do your first finger across the entire first fret, second finger on the G string second fret, third finger on the A string third fret, and the pinky on the D string third fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds like F major. It sounds really, really happy. But that's a little bit difficult to get to. So what can be kind of cool is to kind of take that C and then do your down, down, and then hit the F on the up, down, up. So just like what we were doing with the G and the G sus, but now it kind of a little C lick for your C chord. And then on the D chord, what can be cool is to kind of add in something called D sus. And from your D major chord, if you take your pinky and kind of add him in on the high on the third fret, that sounds a D suspended chord or D sus. So I got first finger on the G string second. I'm just leaving my third finger or second finger on the second fret on high E, and then third finger on the B string third, pinky on the high E string third. So you could kind of work that lick too, kind of that down, down, D sus on up, down, up, back to the C, down, F on the up, down, G on the down, down, G sus on the up, down, G on the down, G sus on the up, down, up. You still probably want to follow that bass line actually at the very, very end, although you could kind of work that as kind of that D with the D sus at the very end too. So if we just try that kind of with our embellished chords, then we have G with a down, down, C on the up, down, G on the down, down, C on the up, down, C on the down, down, F on the up, down, C on the down, down, F on the up, down, D on the down, down, D sus on the up, down, C on the down, down, F on the up, down, G on the down, down, D sus on the up, down, G on the down, down, D sus on the up, down, G on the down, down, D sus on the up, down, G on the down, down, D sus on the up, down, C on the down, down, C on the down, C with the down, down, F on the up, down, D with the down, down, D sus on the up, down, C with the down, down, F on the up, down, D with the down, down, D sus on the up, down, D with the down, down, D sus on the up, down. If you're kind of digging on the bass notes though, you could still do your basses with those changes. So on the G, you could kind of work your bass down, up, down, G with low E bass, down, up, down, C with an A bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, D with a D bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G with low E 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 bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G with a D bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, and then you can even hit that D with the D bass down, D slash C with an A bass down, D slash D with an A bass down, D with a D bass down, and then from there we'll be going into our verse part. In our verse we start on the C major, and then we go to G major, but then we go to a B minor chord. And actually there's a couple different ways you can play B minor. You do your first finger across the entire second fret, second finger on the B string third, third finger on the D string fourth, and the pinky on the G string on the fourth. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a B minor chord. A lot of times with bar chords, you can kind of take the skinny few strings and make smaller versions of the chord. So you could kind of take the first finger and go to the high E second fret, second finger on the B string third fret, and third finger on the G string on the fourth fret. And if you strum the top three of the top four strings, that's another way you can play B minor. Or if you're a little bit more adventurous, you can take the third finger and go to the D string on the fourth fret, pinky on the G string fourth fret, make it a little bit thicker. Another possibility actually that would be kind of cool with this would be a root position B minor. minor 7. When you play that, first finger goes to the A string on the 2nd fret, second finger on the G string on the 2nd fret, third finger on the high E string on the 2nd fret. If you strum the A string and the high E string, that sounds like B minor 7. And then from the B minor, we're going to be going to a C major, and then kind of a really quick D major, so it's kind of that halving thing we were talking about. And then we go to an E minor chord, and when you play E minor, first finger is going to go to the A string 2nd fret, second finger on the D string on the 2nd fret. If you strum all those together, that sounds like E minor chord, and it sounds really, really sad. And then from the E minor, we're going to be going to the B minor chord, then a C major chord, and then a D major chord. So the weird part is on that C and D, actually one way to half those is to just do kind of a down, down, up, and a down, down, up on the D when we get to that part. So we try to reverse that way, we'd have C with the down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, B minor, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, D, down, down, B minor, down, 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 B minor, down, down, C, down, down, D, down, down. If you wanted to throw in the bass notes on the B minor, you'd have the A string for your bass on the B minor, and on the E minor, you'd have the low E string for your bass. And when we get to that C and D having, we could kind of do it as kind of a bass down up idea, kind of C with an A bass down up, D with an E bass down. So we try to reverse that way, we'd have C with an A bass down up, down, G with low E bass down up, down, B minor with an A bass down up, down, C with an A bass down, D with an E bass down, B minor with an A bass down down, B minor with an A bass down down, C with an A bass down down, D with an E bass down down. And then from there, then we go into our next chorus. So we tried that kind of with our bass idea and the embellishments. We have G with low E bass down down, G with low E bass down down, C with an A bass down down, C with an A bass down down, D with an E bass down down, C with an A bass down down, G with low E 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 bass down down, C with an A bass down down, C with an A bass down down, D with an E bass down down, C with an A bass down down, D with an E bass down, C with an A bass down, D with an A bass down, D with an E bass down. Here we going into our next verse, and at the end of our next verse, actually, this is kind of a weird change, where instead of going to the D chord at the very, very end, we go to a B7 chord. And we play B7. First finger is going to go to the D string on the 1st fret, second finger on the A string on the 2nd fret, third finger on the G string on the 2nd fret, and the pinky on the high E string on the 2nd fret. And if you strum just the A string to the high E string, that sounds a B7, and actually your bass note for that would be on the A string, just like the B minor chord. So on that second verse, we tried that with our bass down, up, down, up. We'd have C with an A bass down, up, down, G with low E bass down, down, B minor with an A bass down, down, C with an A bass down, D with an E bass down, B minor with an A bass down, down, B minor with an A bass down, down, C with an A bass down, down, B7 with an A bass down, down. And then from there we go into our bridge part. And the coolest part about our bridge is all of a sudden it feels like we've changed meter into more of a 3/4. And one of my favorite 3/4 6/8 time actually is the down, down, up, down, up. So if you took the E minor and just try that out, like you got down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. So it's gonna be a little weird just kind of feeling that or making that change. So you're on the B7 with the 4/4, and then E minor down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So we tried using that strum pattern through our bridge part. It's a lot of chords that we've talked about, and there's kind of this big buildup on the last E where you kind of go to 4 downs to kind of set up to come back in 4/4 time. So we tried it that way. We'd have down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, up. So we tried our bridge that way. You'd have E minor with a down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, C with a down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, D down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, E minor, C, D, G, C, G. We hit the D with kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then head on into our outro course. Now we could add basses to those too, and kind of working kind of a bass down, up, bass down, up, down. It could be kind of a cool idea. You could even move the basses around too. Like on the E minor chord, you could do the low E for the bass on the first E minor, on the first down, down, up, down, up, and then hit the A string for your bass on the second down, up, down. So it might be kind of cool to kind of move around your basses through that, kind of getting almost like a root 5th kind of idea, actually from like a country waltz kind of idea. And on the C chord, if you kind of dig on that fifth idea, you could take your third finger and move it from the A string to the low E string for your fifth. So I'm kind of moving my third fret on the A to my third fret on the low E string for the C chord to kind of catch the basses. On the D chord, you have the D string going to the A string to kind of try it there. And on the B minor, if you're doing the B minor bar, you could even go low E string on the second fret, kind of make that part of your bar or your full bar. And on the G chord, you have the low E string for the bass and the D for your fifth. Actually, that's what we're kind of doing, is going root fifth of the chord. And it's a little weird, like if E was your root, you have E, F, G, A, B. B note is actually what we're playing, kind of working it that way. So we tried it with our basses kind of as a country waltz. We'd have E minor with Louis bass, A bass, E minor with Louis bass, A bass, C with an A bass, Louis third, D with a D bass, A bass, E minor with Louis bass, A string, Louis, and then B minor with an A bass, Louis bass, C with an A bass, Louis third, D with a D bass, A bass, G with Louis bass, D string, C with an A bass, fifth, or Louis third, or a G with Louis bass, and D bass, and the D. And then we'd be going into our outro chorus. And our outro chorus is very much kind of like our other choruses. It's just that we kind of stay on the G at the very, very end, actually, kind of like our very first time through it. So we tried that with our down, down, up, down. We'd have G with a down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, up. Or we could try that with the basses and have G with the bass, down, down, G with the bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, D with an E bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G with Louis bass, down, down, G with Louis bass, down, down. Or we could use those chord embellishments where you had kind of G with the bass, down, down, G with Louis bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G with an E bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G with Louis bass, down, down, G with Louis bass, down, down. So we want to kind of play around with that. And actually, that arpeggio idea that we started with, you could kind of carry through the other chords too. So if you're using that for your G, when you get to your C chord, you could kind of have the A bass, and then on the F chord, you could kind of take the pinky to kind of add in the D string on the third fret, and almost work that with the same strings. And then when you get to the D chord, you could even kind of work the D chord, kind of working D string to the G to the high string, and then kind of go to the D sus, and then kind of work the C lick again, and then kind of go back to your G at the very end. So we want to kind of play around with that too. That could be a very cool way to kind of intro the tune, because some people who know the tune, they'll be, oh, Suspicious Minds, I love that tune. But that's the basis of how you play Suspicious Minds by Elvis Presley. So good luck!